You're right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Uh, we have got a few amazing gentlemen on screen here. We're going to be doing the sobriety stream that I've been talking about for a long time tonight, which I'm sure everybody knows that. So I think kind of, what we're going to do is I'm going to go around, or I'm going to let everybody kind of introduce themselves. If they if they want to say a little something about. I'm gonna.
Sorry, Mick.
You're good, brother. You're good, brother. I almost did it too. I turned it down right before we started. But yeah, we'll just kind of let everybody introduce themselves. We've got a few more. I actually sent out too many links. We've got a few more guys scheduled to possibly come in. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll just start with Eric and work our way around.
All right. Sober Chef Eric. For those who don't know, I've been in recovery for mental health since July 2nd of 2011. And I've been sober since September 23rd, 2011. So I just hit my 9.5-year sobriety a couple of weeks ago on the 23rd of March. And then closing in on a decade, which if you would have told me when I was in the psych ward in July of 2011 that I'd be sober for 10 years, I would have smacked you.
Right.
But yeah, and I got a channel that I do cooking tutorials on. I've been slacking on it a little bit because I've been working on other things, but I'm going to be starting a live stream that's all going to be about recovery from anything. So that'll be starting in a few weeks.
Guys, everybody check that out. Check out Eric's channel. Check out everybody's channel. So if anybody's in here that don't know Scott, Bearded Zebra, his channel is not exactly like a channel anymore because he is half owner of Beard Mana. But him and Chad still do a live stream every Friday night. So again, if you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check him out also. Your turn, Scott.
I appreciate that. Like you said, I work with Beard Mana, and then I also suffer from 2 chronic rare diseases, and I don't quite remember exactly like my sobriety date, but it's been quite a few years. So, other than that, I just try to spread some inspiration and whatnot throughout the community, and hopefully get some insight on spreading positivity and awareness for different stuff. So.
Absolutely, man. You don't have to remember your sobriety date. I can tell you that. The only reason I remember mine, is because that's the last time I've been to jail.
Yeah.
There's probably a few people in the crowd that don't know that I've been to jail a time or two.
I've never been in jail, but I spent a couple nights in MP stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my Lord. Casey, take it away, buddy. And then y'all be sure and look at what I'm about to put in the chat.
I'm Casey, bushy beard. I'm with the Bearded Regard. I guess I started using out of high school. I'm from a small town, so there's not a ton to do around here. So that was kind of what a lot of the kids were doing around here. And unfortunately, I just kind of stuck with it. I got clean from my drug of choice for quite a few years and then had a slip and fell back into it. I've been sober now for off of my drug of choice for 5 years roughly. It's I can't remember the date exactly because kind of like you, Eric, at that time I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. I didn't think when I decided to quit again, I thought I would be going back. So I didn't really, the date never stuck in my head because to me, I was going to relapse again. But unfortunately, I found some things to help, day to day to keep my mind off of those temptations. So.
And everybody, everybody that's in here, you guys all know me, and today just happens to be 12 years on the dot. So April 10th of 2009, it was a Friday. That was that's going to be my sobriety date. Now, I wish I had a better term to call it than sobriety date, because I never had a problem with alcohol. I was addicted to other things, and so I wish there was a better word to call it that, because I know you guys seen me have a beer, this and that. So I really hate calling it a sobriety date, but I mean, it's just one of them things that's what it's called. So,
well, a lot of people, if they had issues with substances and not alcohol, whether it be cigarettes or whatever, they use the term clean. I've been clean for X amount of time.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I've seen that in the recovery community a bunch, because, I know a lot of people like you that had their issues with one thing or another, but alcohol was never an issue for them,
Right.
Whereas for me, if I started drinking, well, I'm already drinking, so I might as well start smoking weed again. I'm smoking weed, might as well start doing coke again, and
Right. Yeah.
Just so for me, that's.
I hear you. And guys, I appreciate it. I know I didn't go through and acknowledge everybody. I have a feeling that by the time, because I'm gonna kind of repeat my story here a little bit. I'm gonna try to keep everybody's time in mind, and I could sit here and go on for probably till Saturday Night Hype's over, if I really wanted to. I've been in some sticky situations, you know what I mean. I've been in some doozies, so I could probably keep this going most of the night, but my adult ADHD will not allow me to sit here still for that long. So. and I'm serious when I say that. I'm not even joking, even though I laughed. But anyway, so I tell you what, I think I'm just gonna kind of take it away. And if I pause for a second, y'all forgive me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I've never come on and kind of told the full story. I've said, very, very minimal, things on live streams and stuff before. So be nice and tired. That's actually a good idea. So, like Casey, I grew up in a small town. Believe it or not, I still live in that small town. But living in a town, especially this town right here, 1,500 people, and you've got some choices to make. Starting when you're pretty young. Starting at age 12, age 13. And, some of those choices include you can run with the cool kids, but I'm going to tell you something about the cool kids. A lot of times, them are the ones that end up really messed up, right? So that's what I did, not knowing, a kid, starting out 13, 14 years old, they don't know, hey, they just know they want to be popular. They want to be accepted by everybody. And the way to do that is to become friends with the cool kids, So with that being said, if I could take that back, I would be a nerd. Like, I'd get picked on, I'd get wedgies, swirlies, whatever. I'd take any of it over, what I ultimately went through. But again, I wouldn't change it, because honestly, I wouldn't be sitting right here today had everything not have happened. So when I was about 14 or 15, probably 15, I think. I smoked weed for the first time, and this is going to sound so stupid. I didn't even like it that much, but I continued to do it for whatever reason, just because that's what, that's what all the cool kids were doing. I never liked ingesting, smoking, anything that's going to, make me drowsy, make me nod off, this and that. I hated that. I like being up and going. Well, I'm going to tell you something. When your personality is 90 to nothing like mine is, that's a bad combination to start any kind of drug. Because I'm going to tell you right now, when you find something that'll basically make you feel like Superman, with the energy to go with it, you're like, oh, hell yeah. Think of all the work I can get done in a day, just stuff like that. So anyway, that led to, smoking weed just kind of, it really was a gateway, and I know they say, that's not true. And to an extent it's not, but once you become brave enough to try marijuana and you keep doing it, you get braver, you kind of work up the nerve to try something else, or at least that's kind of how it went for me. I was really nervous my first time. I get nervous about stuff like that. I was really nervous to try weed for the first time. And then once I tried it and started, smoking it regularly, I was like, oh, you know what? This wasn't that bad. So I was 18. I bet I hadn't been 18 for a month. And, a friend of mine, he went and got some speed, some meth for his brother. He knew where to get it. His brother didn't. And this is totally my fault. He went and got it. He wasn't going to do nothing. He hadn't done it in a long time. He had been clean for a couple of years, and he got it. And I was like, because I'd never even seen it before. I said, man, let me look at that. And he just handed it to me, and I was like, damn, dude. I was like, that's so weird. It looks like I can't even remember what I said it looked like. And I opened the bag and I smelled it, and it smelled like camp fuel. And I was like, and I love that smell. I was like, dude, that smells good. And he was like, get you a little. And I was like, I got scared. I was like, I was shaking. I was like, no, I better not. And he was like, well, you better give it back then. And I handed it back to him. As soon as I handed it back to him, I was like, F this. I was like, let me see that. And then I asked him, I was like, how do you do it? And he's like, no, you better not. And I did. I sat there and talked him into it, One thing I learned, it's kind of off subject here, but one thing I learned is you never blame your addiction on somebody else. You can't do that. If you blame your addiction on somebody else, you are going to repeat your past mistakes. So like I said, this was totally on me. And he was like, well, here. So he pulls over. We do it. And oh my God, I was like, the next morning he leaves, goes home with his wife. The next morning he comes back over, and I had found my mom had a whole bunch of them teacup candles, them little round ones. And I had sat there all night with a toothpick and carved out wheels and tires. I had like 20 rims with mud tires carved into them with this. I just couldn't figure out what I was doing. I was, just 90 to nothing. I had a workstation set up. I had lights everywhere. He was like, oh shit. He's like, I think you just created a monster. And I looked right at him and I said, I think I did too. I mean, when something like that comes up, I mean, at least be honest about it, Anyway,
yep.
So that led to about a 6-month stint, weight loss, this and that, and then I got a job at a welding shop, my first welding job, and I already knew how to weld. I grew up on a farm, so that job, it went over really well actually. And my first day on the job, I said, that's it, I'm done, and I stuck to that. I stuck to that for a long time. I worked there. I worked my way up to management. I was a good paid manager there at the age of 20. No, I made manager when I was 19, and I was a manager there till I was, 23, 22, something like that. And in the meantime of that, I was prescribed Lortabs. I was basically prescribed Lortabs the whole time. So when I was 15, I fell off the spillway out at our city lake, and I actually fractured part of my sacrum. And it wasn't like a horrible injury, but because I didn't have anything done about it, I get to live with chronic pain now. And once you quit doing the meth and stuff, your body tends to hurt a little bit worse, just because it's like a truck. If you run a truck balls to the wall forever, it's going to wear out. The human body works the same way, right? So I was hurting, this and that and everything else. And yeah, crazy for sure. And I was prescribed Lortabs. There for a while I had quit getting them, prescribed them to me, and I got to noticing after a little bit, when I take these Lortabs, man, it's just like doing meth. Ain't no different. I got the same energy. The only difference is I can lay down and go to sleep at night, and I can eat. That was the only difference. I was like, hey, this is the best of both worlds. I got the energy, but I don't have to stay awake for 3 days. And dude, I never identified that as an addiction for like 4 more years, right? And now what I'm talking about here, this was probably 20, 21, 22 years old. And in the meantime, I had gotten married, and we had dated for several years, and we stayed married for 7 months. So, as soon as we got married, the script had just flipped. Everything was just opposite of how it was when we were just dating. We even lived together before we got married. We had a house before we got married. All that, but we got married, and it was just like, I don't know. Something clicked. So we ended up getting divorced, and that right there, it doesn't matter, what goes on in a relationship. If you married someone, you done it for a reason. You didn't do it just because you were bored. I guess some people could do that, but I didn't do it. We were married because, I thought we loved one another. Anyway, once we got divorced, man, I was like, you know what? I ain't got nobody to answer to if she catches me high, so why not get high again? And that's what I did. And I would tell myself, man, I'm just going to do it this one time, and I ain't going to worry about it no more. And it didn't take very long, and it worked. They could tell something was up. So somebody's got their stream on.
That was me.
That was me.
I had you on my phone. I didn't know when you were going to let me in. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
So it didn't take them very long at work to realize, hey, there's something up. Everybody out in the real world, they know me as Jake, and they was like, you know what, something's up with Jake, like for sure. And the boss took me in the office one day, and he's actually, matter of fact, you know what, he's still my boss. We work at a different place, but this guy's been my boss most of my life. He switched jobs, and I kind of followed him, type of thing. And but at that point, he took me in the office, and he said, man, I don't know where you're headed. He said, but you are going the wrong direction. I'll never forget him saying that. And I told him, I was like, you're right. I said, I am. I said, I know better than to lie to you, because I've known you since I was 18. You gave me my first job, and, I'm not going to sit here and try to lie to you. Yeah, I'm headed down the wrong path. And he said, man, I'm going to have to bump you back down just to labor. He said, I'm not going to fire you. I'll never fire you, no matter what. There's nothing you can do to get fired from here. He said, but he said, I can't have you in management. Okay. So I went down to took a lower position, and I kept on doing, I was kind of more of a weekend warrior at that point in time than anything. And one day I think I was probably in a withdrawal. Something pissed me off, and I walked out of that job, and that was the worst thing I ever did. And I'm going to explain why that was the worst thing I ever did in just in a second. So here I am without a job. Me and my ex-wife were trying to work it out, and I go to this oil field business. It's a welding business for the oil field, and I get a job there. Pretty fun little job. It was kind of hard. It was rough. It wasn't an indoor job like I had before. It was It was a definite outdoor job. So, but I liked it. They treated me fairly well. The only thing is that dude would drug test you 2 or 3 times a week if you wasn't careful. Like, if you got to the shop in the morning, we would get to the shop at 5. If Rodney's vehicle was there, you knew you was fixing to get your ass drug tested. So we got to where we would drive up and down the highway a couple of times and see if he was already there before we'd ever go in. That way we wouldn't have to take a drug test that day because he called the company in to come and drug test us. So we figured out how to stay away from that. But they put me on this crew with these 2 guys. They were uncle and nephew. And I always knew these dudes were high, but they would never admit it. Finally, after I got to know them really well, I said something one day. I was like, man, I know you're high, dude. I was like, you never eat. I was like, and you'll work 18 hours a day if I let you. You know what I mean? Like, I have to throw a fit to go home before you'll let us go home. And finally, the dude admitted it. He was like, all right. He's like, tomorrow, he's like, put your big boy panties on. And I was like, okay. And first thing we did right as soon as we left the shop, we went and met the other guy. One of the guys, he was actually a boss there. We went and met him. And the first time I ever seen meth being manufactured was that day. We went out deep out in the boondocks, and the dude walked over to a stump that had a hollow spot in it, and he pulled out a little CO2 tank, and it had anhydrous ammonia in it. And he was like, "You asked for it, buddy." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I did." I thought that was cool back then, or at that point in time. And they basically started my training on how to be what you call a country chemist. And it's a really simple process. It's a million wonders that everybody in the world doesn't do it. I'm not going to go too much into that, but that's what really turned the tides in my addiction, was learning how to make it, myself. Again, super simple. Like, there's literally nothing to it now. I'll never repeat how to do it to somebody that doesn't know how to do it, because if I repeat it to you, you can go to Walgreens and you can go home and do it. So you'll never hear me repeat how to do it. The fact that I mentioned anhydrous ammonia almost makes me feel bad because I just told you one of the ingredients. So that's all we'll go, on that part of the story. But yeah, so I got up to where I was pretty good at it, and I found these other guys. It's actually a guy I went to school with. Me and him run across each other one day, and he was doing the same thing. So I kind of started running with him. Well, I ended up getting fired from that other place because I tried to run with the guys there, and then I would leave there, go home, and try to run with the guys, here in town. And I ended up getting fired. Actually, you know what? I think I quit, but I knew I was fixing to get fired is why I quit. He didn't actually tell me you're fired. I said, man, I'm done, and walked out. But probably another 30 seconds and I was going to get fired anyway. So we'll just say I got fired. And right about somewhere in that is where I met my current wife. And we dated for a little bit, and she had my stepson, who is 17 now. He's actually pretty close to 17 and a half. And he was about 2 then. And one day, I don't know what it was. One day I just got to thinking, I was like, you know what? I can't drag that kid through this. I can't do it. I don't physically possess the dark side to, the dark parts of this addiction. I don't possess that to drag this kid through this. So there for about a week and a half, I just didn't even answer her phone calls or texts, nothing. And my wife, I hope she's listening in the chat right now, but if she wants answers, by God, she will go get them. Like, it don't matter who you are. If she wants to get a hold of you, talk to you, or just ask you something, she's going to ask it. She actually, believe it or not, like the way she conducts herself, or the way she wants to figure something out, reminds me a lot of what I hear Dave talk about Molly. Like, by God, if it's on my mind, I'm going to say it. Or if I want to know it, if you ain't answering your phone and I need to talk to you, then I'm going to come find you, that type of thing. So, and she did. She came and found me. And And man, she couldn't. Well, I say it couldn't have been at a worse time. Honestly, it couldn't have been at a better time, because when I explained to her my thinking process, I think she believed it, because I had been awake for about a week. Probably hadn't ate nothing in 5 or 6 days, maybe even longer. Probably hadn't had a drink of water in 2 or 3 days. Every time I would get high, I couldn't eat or drink anything. It's like it swelled my throat shut or something. But anyway, I explained to her. I said, "Look," I said, "I'm headed down a very, very dark road." I said, "You have a son." I said, "Plus, you've never touched this stuff. You've never even considered touching it. I'm not going to drag you with me." And, of course, she was like, "Well, maybe I can help you through it." And I was like, "At some point you can." I was like, "But I'm telling you right now," excuse me. I said, you can't do it right now. You gotta let this run its course. And I knew that, and you would think somebody that knows that would be able to figure out a way to stop it. But I'm telling you now, man, when it's something like that, sometimes you just have to let it run its course. Or you'll keep repeating, the same mistake over and over. So that went on for probably, me and her parted ways, and that went on for probably a year and a half, 2 years. And in that year and a half, 2 years, I had a couple of little stints where I would clean up for a few weeks, this and that and this. And then probably 2 years into that, I got my old job back. And I did good for a pretty good little while. Now, when I say a pretty good little while, I don't mean 5, 6 years. I mean, a year max, maybe a year and a half. And I can't remember what happened, but I fell right back into that same thing. And I had went to jail one time for public intox. It was just a few hour stay, no big deal. So here I am, strung out again. No job again, which I quit that place again. And actually, believe it or not, my first job, I've actually worked there 5 times for a total of about 12 years. So anyway, I'm right back to doing what I was doing. I was running with the same people, and we had went out one day. This is kind of where the story gets good, and I promise it's kind of getting to the end here. And then I'll tell a few little funny stories to kind of lighten the mood. We go out one day, and everybody had kind of pulled together their ingredients, and we made a huge run, a bunch. We all had a pocket full, and I was the guy. If I was high, I wanted everybody in the room to be high with me. So I never was very good at. I was good at making it, but never good at making money at it. You know what I mean? So I just pass it out here. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, type of thing. I was the Oprah. I was the Oprah of the meth world, and so I was down to, let's say, about $350 worth left in my pocket, which is about 3.5 grams. And man, I had been awake for a long time. I was just tripping balls. Like I couldn't figure out what was up, what was down. I was, that you've seen them. Everybody's seen a tweaker, or everybody's seen a crackhead, walking down the road, which here you're basically out in the country. Back then I wasn't town broke. I wasn't fit to be in town. I would have went to jail immediately. So I stayed out in the sticks, and I got paranoid and skitsed out about something. I don't know what it was. And when that happened, I took that sack of meth, and there was a bunch in there, and I cut the top off. It was a small Ziploc bag. I cut the top off of it, right? I throwed it in my mouth, and I swallowed the whole thing. And buddy, let me tell you, that right there, that was the entrance to the roller coaster right there. When that kicked in, I'm going to tell you right now, when that right there kicked in, I went on a 16 to 24 hour spree of absolute madness. I shot a propane tank. I was shooting at somebody that was hiding behind the propane tank that technically wasn't there. I picked up a spear. The house we were at. This guy, they live out there in native country, so he had all these beautiful artifacts. He would find a spearhead, so he would build a spear out of it and display it on the wall. And I grabbed this spear and I threw it through his front door, and then I run upstairs, and I think people are after me, and I'm shooting at this. I'm shooting at somebody that's behind this propane tank, and they're like freaking out, like, "Don't shoot the propane tank!" And so they finally get me in my vehicle, and it's like, "All right, man, tell me to go somewhere, go hide somewhere, this and that and this." I don't really remember that part of it. I was kind of in and out of what you would call consciousness, and so I went back to another buddy of mine's house, and evidently I picked up a brick and threw it at his cousin's head for whatever reason. They said I was carrying an Easter basket around with me, and this. And guys, feel free to laugh because it's absolutely absurd. I know if you would have seen me doing this, you would have died laughing. I wish I could see myself doing it. That would have been funny. But anyway, I'm carrying around an Easter basket, like, just stymied out of my mind, and
I'm
so
not
I go
laughing
get
at it because I've been there with you. I've been right there in that same situation. So
I go and get in my vehicle, and I'm going to leave, right? I'm headed towards town, which is a horrible idea. I run off in a pasture. I run through somebody's fence, and I don't remember this part. I remember opening my eyes, and I'm like, oh, shit. I'm sitting down there like 30 foot from a creek. Like I would have probably drove off in that and drowned if I wouldn't have got stopped somehow. So I kind of get my bearings about me, and I jump out there on the highway. And I remember this part like it was yesterday, and I can't tell you why I done this. I got up there, and I got up there on the highway, and then I'm just flying down the highway, probably running 80 or 90. And there's a vehicle up in front of me. It's a van. And out there, the speed limit was like 70. So they're running what I assume is 70. I'm probably running 80 or 90. And I can't fathom in my head why these people won't get out of my way. So I just put it to the floor and rear-ended them at a high rate of speed. Which, again, they were moving 70. I was moving probably 80 or 90 or whatever the vehicle would run. It was just like a Ford Explorer, so it wasn't nothing, it wasn't a Corvette or nothing. And I bumped them. Really doesn't even hurt either vehicle. But when I do that, it kind of wakes me up a little bit, and I just lock the brakes up. And I slide ever so lightly into this bridge, right? Boom. It doesn't even scratch the bumper, mind you. I hit that bridge, just barely hit it. Boom. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I remember specifically looking around thinking, how in the hell did I get here? Boom, the airbag goes off. Like a 45-second delay on the airbag. Well, in that model of vehicle, for some reason, when the airbag goes off, it sets the horn off, which freaked me smooth out. And the vehicle wouldn't start for me to run away, right? Well, the people in the van are productive members of society, unlike myself. And they do what you do. They call the cops. Hey, we just had a wreck. At that time, they didn't even know I'd done that I can't say I'd done it on purpose. I mean, my intention wasn't to hurt them. I just was whacked out of my mind, And so they called the cops. And evidently there was a sheriff's deputy pretty close. And I'm sitting here, and I'm without letting them see, I'm trying to get this vehicle started so I can jet out of there. And horn sitting there going off. It's freaking me out. All of a sudden, the horn quits. I reach over, turn the key, and it busts right off. And I'm like, yes. And I look over, and the sheriff's deputy sitting there looking at me like, where are you going? I was like, I'm just trying to move this out of the road. And anyway, long story short, I give them cops every story I could think of why we had that wreck. And it actually took them a little while to realize I was messed up. I think it sobered me up a little bit when I looked over and seen a cop. And but needless to say, by the end, he put me in handcuffs and he took me to jail. And the funny thing about that, I was so whacked out that I didn't even realize I was in jail at first. I don't remember going to the jail at all. I don't remember them drawing my blood to check my blood toxicity. The first thing I remember is they put me in the padded room, right? They put me in an isolation cell. So when I wake up, I'm like, holy shit, they have put me in a mental institution. That's the only thing I could think of because I don't remember going to jail. And at that time, I didn't even remember talking to the cops or anything. So I'm like, for some reason in my head, I'm like, I got to get out of here. So there's a light up above, and it's the light is flush with the ceiling, right? So it's just a ceiling and a light in there. And somehow I put my hand through it. I think I punched it 5 or 6 times, and I pulled something out of it. And in a old jail cell like that, where the toilet's at, behind it there's a door with a lock on it, right? And that's how they work on the plumbing. So I'm sitting here trying to pick this lock, and a deputy walks over there, and he flips that beanhole down, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I don't remember this part, but he tells me later on, once I sober up, he tells me that you looked at me, heart attack, and said, "Oh, I'm leaving." And he said, "Dude, I couldn't help but laugh at that." He said, "You was dead serious." He was like, just like, you was putting a key in a door to leave. And so they come in there, slam me on my face, and this and that. So then they throw me in the drunk tank where I can't tear anything up. And that was a bad idea because I start kicking the wall. The sheriff, he's a big old meaty dude. Like, he's like Dave's size. The sheriff comes in there, and he tells me, if I kick that wall one more time, he's going to handcuff me to the drunk tank door. And I said, all right, I'll stop. And as soon as he walks out, I rear back and kick that door as hard as I can. Mick's got to he's got to test everything, just see for himself. And sure enough, he come back in there and he snatched me up. And not only did he handcuff me to the drunk tank door, but he took every bit of my clothes and put me in an isolation gown, which is a see-through dress that happens to stop at your belly button when your hands are over your head like that. So I'm literally butt naked, no underwear, no nothing. I am butt naked, handcuffed to the drunk tank door. I'm basically on my tiptoes, right? Well, in the drunk tank, everybody in general population can just go like this and see the drunk tank. So I'm sitting here, just butt ass naked. And it's cold in there, mind you. Them dudes literally leave me handcuffed to the drunk tank door for like 2 hours, right? Finally, they let me go. Later that night, like an idiot, they put a drunk in there. And you know how drunks are. Drunks are mouthy. So I ended up beating the crap out of that guy. I do not remember doing that. I beat the crap out of him. Caught a charge for that. So here I am, got a DUI. And then I got a malicious injury to property inside of a penal institution for tearing that light up. Now I got assault in a penal institution for beating that guy up. So then they locked me in a cell by myself. They had to kick 3 people out of a cell. Locked me in there by myself, and it took another 3 days before they could even take me to court. So I should have went to court and got arraigned on Monday. And I actually didn't end up going to court till either a Wednesday or a Thursday to get arraigned. But by that time, my days were so off, I didn't know. I couldn't have told you what day it was anyway. So I sat in jail. And mind you, these are all misdemeanors because that's the only real trouble I'd ever been in. And so I sat in jail on 3 misdemeanors for 100 and I believe it's 104 days. Finally, I was fighting it. I was fighting it for whatever reason. I was fighting it because they were trying to give me 7 years in prison, and I was like, well, people do 3 times worse than this, and they get a year deferred. But I later realized because they can afford a good lawyer. So finally, they offered me the final offer before it went to jury trial was a year in county or 6 months of probation. Or not probation, rehab. I'm sorry, rehab. And me, I just wanted out of jail. I was like, oh, I'll take rehab for sure. And they was like, all right, here's the 2 that we approve. One was the Salvation Army. The other one was called the Howe Foundation in Oklahoma. And I wanted out of jail quick. I thought I did. Later on, I realized that I should have stayed right where I was at least until I could have got into the Salvation Army. So they sent me to Howe Foundation. And HOW stands for Hard Outdoor Work. They sent me to this place, and for somebody that, I don't know, for somebody whose addiction's not as bad as mine, there might have been some recovery in that place. But for me, there was nothing. All you do, this rehab is a private thing, and they make their money by producing firewood and offering services. Like we have a demolition crew, they have a lawn mowing crew, a tree crew. The tree crew supplies all the wood for the yard workers to make firewood out of. And you don't do anything automatically. You do it all with axes, hammers, and wedges, and this and that. So So I stayed there for exactly 90 days. I told myself I'm done with this shit. I do not want to live this life no more. And I said, I'm done with this shit. About 3 days into that, I realized that this place sucks. There is no recovery in this place. They're just here to make money. But I told myself I'm going to make it 90 days. Really what the court wanted me to do, they wanted me to do 9 months of rehab. But in Oklahoma, the only thing we have is 6-month programs, right? So they were willing to accept that. So I told myself I'm going to make it 90 days. If at 90 days I still feel like I feel now, I'll leave and I'll take my chances. I'll do the rest of my time in the county jail. And on my 90th day, I left. I told them, I said, hey, I want a bus ticket. And they said, okay. And they loaded me up, took me over there. And luckily, I got so lucky on this. I called my mom. I said, hey, I'm coming home. And she's like, they'll come get you. I said, I know. She said, it'd be better if you turn yourself in. I was like, I'm going to tell you something. My mindset was still cloudy. I was like, turning yourself in is no different than snitching on somebody. I was like, and I damn sure ain't going to snitch on myself. So I was like, they'll have to come get me. And she was like, well, okay. And on my way home, my mom said, you know what? She didn't say this to me, but I remember her telling me a story. She said, I think that the court said they would accept the Salvation Army. And she called up there and they said, we absolutely have one bed open right now. If you want it, I can write you down for it. She explained the whole situation to him. They said, all right, bring the court order, bring him up here, tell him he doesn't need anything. We'll supply his clothes. He can bring his underwear and socks if he wants, but he's not allowed anything else. We'll put it in storage for him if he has something. So 2 days later, my mom called the court, and this is all while I'm headed back home. And they said, yeah, we'll accept that. Obviously, they heard about this the other rehab, and they knew it was a piece of crap. But, sometimes you can work the addiction out of people, I guess. I don't know. It didn't work for me.
That's what I was wondering. Like, what's the point of that? Is
just
to keep people busy, or was it just a money-making deal? Who knows? Huh?
No,
That's a deal right there where you have to work it yourself. Like you are at that place, you're 100% in charge of your own recovery. Is what it is. But it
doesn't work for everyone.
No, it didn't work for me. So then I was accepted into the Salvation Army, and I knew you had to work there. And it's not the work that bothered me; it was just the fact that there was no recovery in this other place. And I knew, also you have to work at the Salvation Army, but it's not 12 hours days. It's not 7 days a week. At the Howe Foundation, you work all day, every day, no matter what. You work 7 to 7 every night, from every morning to every night. So I get to the Salvation Army. He's giving me the rundown. He said, you're going to work from 7 to 3 every day. He said, depending on where we assign you, you might get a lunch break, you might not. Is there anything that any special skills you have? So I started telling them this and that. Well, my first job before I was 18 was for my brother-in-law, and he owned a Sears store, and I unloaded all the trucks. And they said, oh, okay. So they put me as a dock worker. Well, I become pretty good friends with one of the truck drivers, and he asked for me to be his helper on the truck. So that's what I ended up doing for the longest time was I rode in the truck for them to drive around and pick up donations and stuff like that. People would schedule donation pickups, and the trucks would drive around and pick them up. But anyway, so that's what I did most of my time there. But that place there, and I'm sure the Salvation Army doesn't work for everybody either, but it really worked for me. Every night you had to do something, and it was required. When you were phase 1 or level 1, you had a lot more meetings. Sometimes you would have 2 meetings in a night, and it wasn't always just an AA or NA meeting. One would be an anger management. One would be like there was workbooks and stuff. You'd have to work through a workbook, just stuff like that. There was all kinds of stuff, and you would have like therapy sessions. You would go in and sit down with a counselor, and you would talk to him. And then and everybody there was like, There was really, they kind of greet you with open arms, So the Salvation Army, it changed my life, Plus, you got to go to church on Sunday morning, and then Sunday evening, they call it Vespers. And then Wednesday evening, you had a church session also, and that was required. Actually, the first suit I've ever had, or the only suit that I've ever had, actually come from there. And that's the only place I've ever worn it, was there also. So, so that was, let's see, I graduated the Salvation Army very shortly, I'm talking like 5 or 6 days before my 1-year anniversary of my sobriety date. So that whole deal from start to finish took about a year. Something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, the Salvation Army, or the Sally as we call it, it was literally a lifesaver. Had I kept up like I was going, I know I would have been dead. Hell, I'd almost been dead a few times before. I mean, once I've had a gun put to my head, and I thought I was done with that one. Luckily, I did not go to that place alone. But I will say this: the guy that put the gun to my head, he had every right to do so. I ripped him off for about $500 worth of coke. So, I mean, well, I don't know if he had the right to do it, but again, I mean, he felt he had the right to do it. I kind of felt like he had the right to do it. I didn't think he knew, or I wouldn't never went back over to his house. One of them kind of things. He was a little slicker than I was that day, I guess you could say. Luckily, I had I guess you could say, a guardian angel that day. He, in the form of a guy I went to high school with. So, I mean, I've been in more sticky situations than I care to ever remember. I've run from the cops more times than I care to think about it. We would sneak up to these big, it's basically like a feed store, but they call them a co-op. And we would sneak up to them and steal ingredients that we needed and stuff like that, go into the pharmacy and feeding them every story under the sun, to be able to get other ingredients. Just that whole kind of deal. And then, after I graduated the Salvation Army, I was home and clean for not real long. And me and my wife, we started dating again. And I really think, and I mean this, I don't even know if she's in here right now, but I really think, had me and her not have gotten back together, I don't know if I would be sitting here today. There's a good chance I could still be strung out. I could still be, or I would be in prison or dead. There's a good chance that I wouldn't have lasted, as long as I have. That's as far as my story. I mean, that's really, that's really what I got. So if any of the other guys on screen, if there's something you want to talk about, I would absolutely love to hear about it.
Well, for me, whether you're clean, whether you're sober, whether you're not, whether you smoke weed, I don't care. It's none of my business. I'm not going to judge anybody for it. And if you have an issue with something and you're getting that issue taken care of, I don't care if it's church, therapy, 12-step, just abstinent. If it works for you, everybody's journey is unique. And, if anybody's struggling, I'm available if you want to reach out and chat. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not the only one in the community that's here for that either,
Yep.
I mean, if you're struggling, I don't care what it is, reach out to somebody. And if not somebody there's so many anonymous lines out there. There's the VA, has lines, United Health. I mean, there's all kinds of resources out there if you're struggling, especially if you're struggling with, thoughts of suicide or mental health. Man, just
Absolutely.
talk to somebody.
I'm here as well.
Most definitely.
Well, I suppose I
Talking to someone is much better than the other side of it, definitely.
if you guys want, I can tell my story if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Love to hear your story, Dave.
All right, so I don't know if anybody's in here doesn't know me. I'm Dave. Basically, here's how it went. When I grew up, I was one of those guys that wanted to get in. Like, Mick, I relate big time to his story because he's like wanting to get in with the cool kids, right? Like, so you were trying to fit in somewhere. So growing up, it was a lot of, I don't know, the easiest way to say it would be sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? So you were like trying to do everything you could to have fun, party. So it was more like a party social thing. You did a lot of different stuff. I was a bouncer, so we did, obviously there was drugs involved with bouncing. And but the biggest thing that ran in my family that I was addicted to, that I would truly say that I was addicted to, was alcohol. The reason I say that is my father was a huge alcoholic, right? He drank all the time. I used to have to help him go to bed. I used to have to get him like lemon water to try to help him feel better. But I still drank because it was something that I would do, right? I was addicted to it. So I would drink all the time. And I don't want to sound like an arrogant punk, but I always said I was really good at drinking because I could control myself. I was like a functioning alcoholic, right? So I never really thought I was an alcoholic, right? See, Eric knows what I'm saying. So, and if anybody doesn't know what that means out there, that means you can live life day to day and still do everything you need to get done, but still drink like a champ, right? So,
Right.
What happened that actually made it final to where I said no more? My wife and I, we were celebrating. My wife and I both did really, really good. We both started college, right? My wife and I both got our grades back. We both made the dean's list. We were super excited because we were both doing really well. So we started drinking. So I bought a bottle of honey. I think it was the honey Jack Daniels they had or something like that. So we drank a whole liter of that together. One of my friends said, "Hey, we're over at this bar. You should come up and hang out." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I get up there. The next thing you know, the guys are buying platters of Patron. So I'm drinking those and taking shots of that. And then all of a sudden I look over because my wife was there with us. We were drinking and I look over and my wife, one of the friends of one of my buddies there, it's like, "Hey, you need to go in the bathroom. Molly's sick. I think she needs to go." You know what I mean? Like, so I went, "Oh man, okay, cool." So I go to turn to go and there she is on the ground, like with her legs out. You know what I mean? And she had gotten sick. And I'm like, "Man, I'm so sorry." And I start picking her up and the bouncer helps me get her because she's like dead weight at this point, right? Like she's not alert. She's not functioning. She's not talking. So we're taking her out to the car. I pull the car up. I know I drove. It was stupid. I shouldn't have been driving. I know. So then all of a sudden we get her to the car and her head, we go to put her in the car and her head smacks the A-pillar of the car. I didn't know it was as hard as she had hit it, but she hit it hard. It was a thud, not a thump, not a bang, a thud, right? And when she was sitting there, she had fallen back a couple times on the back of her head. Well, we get her in the car, and I think it was a concussion, I think is what she got from hitting her head onto that A-frame. So we get her in the car, and she's in the car, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, it was complete chaos in the car. Complete chaos. Hands going up like this. There's somebody in a car, kitty corner from our car, that sees it going on, and they think I'm punching her. So I'm driving the car, and I get up to the road, and I look in my rearview mirror, and it looked like somebody was following me. I'm like, "What the heck?" Like, I didn't realize, you know what I mean? Like, somebody would think that, you know what I mean? So I'm like, "What in the heck is this guy doing?" So I take a left instead of going straight. And then I took a right and I sped to the house. And I was like, "All right, well, I'm going to get her inside." So I go and I try to get her out of the car. Well, I get her out of the car and I sit her down and she falls and hits her head. So I try to sit her up with my knee and I'm trying to do the carry, right? And I can't get her up. I can't. So I'm holding her and I start dragging her. As I start dragging her, a guy at the end of my driveway says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I look up and it's a cop. And I said, I'm trying to get my wife in the house. What does it look like I'm doing? Like a smart jack, you know what I'm saying? So I grab her and I'm like, he's like, oh, so what are you guys doing? I'm like, well, we just got back from the bar. She's super drunk. I'm trying to get her in the house. And I'm like, can you help a guy out? You know what I mean? Like, I'm inviting this guy to help me carry her in because she's she's dead weight, bro. She's like completely not moving, not trying to help, nothing. Just, and if anybody's ever lifted anybody dead weight, I don't care how much you weigh, it's hard. It's hard. So I'm lifting her and I finally get her in the house. We put her on the couch and I see her face and I'm like, oh my gosh. Like her face had that A-pillar right down the side of her face. You could see right where she smacked it, right? So the cop says, hey, a couple called the cops and said that you were punching the crap out of your wife. And I said, what? Yeah, I'm like, no, bro. Like, she hit her face. You can go talk to the bouncer at the place we were drinking. She hit her head on the A-pillar of her car. And Brooklyn Park cop came. So this was a Blaine cop, and then a Brooklyn Park cop came. The Brooklyn Park cop comes. And I'm talking to the Blaine guy, really cool guy, totally understanding, knew where I was coming from, understood what I was saying. They were trying to get a case. The Brooklyn Park cops were trying to get a case. They were saying that I beat her, I did this and that. I said, hey, man, she's falling off. Did you want me to help you a little bit? And he goes, I think you've done enough tonight. Well, the switch went off. You're going to come in my house and you're going to talk to me. You're going to disrespect me like that in my house. And I started going off at him, right? So there, all of a sudden, his anger, right? So they're like, okay, he's angry. He did this. This is a domestic, right? This is what they think. So I'm yelling at this guy, telling this guy, look, if you talk to me like that one more time, you can leave and I'll talk to your partner because you're not going to be in my house talking to me like this and treating me like I did something wrong when I'm trying to help her, right? Well, I just kept running my mouth because I was I was not myself, right? I mean, I was drunk. I drank a lot that night.
Uh-oh.
He'll be back here in a second.
Try to shake him a little bit.
Right. That happens sometimes.
All right, I'm back. Am I back?
All right, you're back.
All right. Okay. Sorry, guys. So all of a sudden, the little cop, the Blaine guy, I shouldn't say little cop. He was a cool cop. He pulls me to the side over by the stairs and he says, all right. He's like, man, I need you to take all your stuff out of your pockets, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, man, you went off on that cop, man. He's like, take your stuff out of your pockets, put them on the stairs. I was like, are they arresting me, bud? And he's like, I'm pretty sure they're going to get you arrested for what just happened. I get why you got mad, but it looks like you did it because of how you got angry with him. And I'm like, man. He's like, look, we don't have a lot of time. He's like, take your stuff out of your pockets. Make sure you have your cell phone and your ID on you. That's it. So I took my wallet out. I took all my stuff out of my pockets. I made sure that I only had my ID and I put my phone in my pocket. Sure enough, they're like, come out here. We want to talk to you. So I go outside and sure enough, that guy throws me over because I'm like telling him I pay his bills and all this stuff because he was, you know what I mean? I'm like, I pay you, you work for me. I was angry, right? Dude disrespected me in my house. I was super upset. But that's one thing I learned too with this whole thing, and I'll get to that. But all of a sudden he throws me over his hood and he handcuffs me and I go to jail. And my wife gets brought to the hospital in an ambulance. And I'm like, what is going on? So I go to jail and Molly goes to the hospital. So Molly had drank a lot. I drank a lot. I went to the jail, obviously, because they were trying to get me for a domestic, and they got her because she was wasted. They brought her to the hospital because of her injury from the A-pillar, right? So they got her to the hospital, and I'm in the jail, and I'm trying to call my friends to try to post bond so I can get out of there by Monday because they were holding me for the weekend. I wasn't getting out, right? So the whole time I'm in there, I'm thinking, I'm like, gosh, what am I going to do? Like, how are we going to get through this, right? Like, I'm like, what? Something good was happening. Our life were going in the right way, and all of a sudden this happens. Like, so then I finally talked to her mom, and her mom told me that she had a brain bleed from hitting her head so many times on the ground. Then I freak out, and I'm still like I'm starting to tear up right now just thinking about it. But like, she had like hit her head so hard from drinking, from not being able to function or anything, She woke up in the hospital not knowing what was going on. She's yelling for me. And her mom's like, he's not here. He's in jail. She's like, where's Dave? Where's Dave? She had no idea what was going on. She didn't know where she was. So my buddy post bond on Monday. I get out of jail. The first thing we do is we go to the bar. It was at night. It was Monday night. It was boys' night. All the guys had gone home, but my buddy stayed, posted bond, got me out. First thing I wanted was a beer, right? So I go there and we have a beer. I don't even finish the beer. I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, I'm like, we're going to stop. Like, this is going to stop. We're done, right? Like, I talked to her finally. I wasn't supposed to, obviously, but
Right.
I said, look, we need to do something. She's like, babe, I don't even know what happened. Like, I don't even know why I look like this. Like, I don't even know what's what. And I'm like, you hit your head on an A-pillar, babe. Like, the whole side of your head was boom, right? You know what I mean? So that day, we both decided that we were going to stop drinking. So she had her mother pour out every alcohol thing that we had in the house, all the bottles of vodka, all the bottles of Jack, all the bottles of beer, all the cans of beer, everything in our house that was alcohol was gone. And that day, December 7th was the last time my wife drank, and December 8th, 2013 was my last drink. I quit with her because I am an alcoholic. I know I was an alcoholic, right? It runs in my family. It was just something that I watched my whole life, so I just did it, right? But I finally realized that if I'm going to quit, right now is the best time to quit to help my wife not drink too, right? Because she knew she was an alcoholic because she'd black out all the time. So that day, those were the days where we decided we're done, no more. And now we're going on 8 years sober this year, alcohol free. And I just want to say something to like everybody out there. These guys right now saying this, Mick, I applaud you, Eric, Zebra, Case. You guys have no idea how hard that was for me to say this to you guys just now, because that is a part of my life that I try not to think about, right? Because it's part of your sobriety to try to move forward. There's times where my wife has actually said to me, Dave, if you want to have a drink, you can. Like when I went to Minnesota to see my daughter, she's like, it's okay if you want to have a drink with the guys, you can go ahead and have one. I didn't have a drink. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not going to, there's no way I would do that to myself or to her, right? But it takes so much courage for you guys to come on. And I'm not saying anything about myself, but for you guys, it is such a hard thing to do. So don't think that it's easy for people to stop quitting any kind of anything they're doing, whether it's cocaine, crack, meth. And yes, that's a thing. Glass. They call it all kinds of things, right?
All kinds of things.
Heroin. You're doing GX, whatever it is. Those things are all really, really hard to stop because it's something that kind of blacks out everything that you're doing in life, right? All the bad, you think it's fixing it, but it's not. That's why you see people when they get in a hard spot, they'll relapse and they'll go back to it because that's like something that helps them feel better. So they think, right? And it really, it's hard, man. This is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. To be honest with you, me telling you guys my story, I know I've said it before that I treated my body like an amusement park ride, but it really happened. It was true. And I honestly would never take anything from my past back. And you want to know why? Because it makes me a stronger person today than it did back then.
Facts.
And if I can help someone else that is having those issues, and I don't judge, right? Like I tell people, I say, look, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. But if you need a direction or help or some way to do it, I'm here. You know what I mean? I have another friend that just quit drinking not long ago. He quit doing drugs. He's living an amazing life now. And he's my best friend in the world, right? And I'm so proud of him. Like from where he's been to where he's coming to. And I'm super proud of all you guys and anybody in the comment section that has stopped doing anything. It doesn't matter what it is, cigarettes, whatever your thing is that you need help to get done and you've actually accomplished that. Good on you, man. I'm super proud of you and keep doing it. You know what I mean? So that's my story. That was super hard to say. I want to say thank you guys for allowing me to share my story with everybody. But it was intense to tell. But I appreciate you guys for having me on. And I just want to say to everybody that's here or in the comments, I'm so freaking proud of you guys, man, for real. Like, keep doing your thing, man, for real. It's not a joke. Sobriety is real. And yeah, man, I just thank God every day that I don't have any of those things going on. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah.
No, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that. I've been nervous for a pretty good little bit. At least the last week. And I was leading into my story a while ago. I was leading into another part of it, and I totally left it out. So at one point I had mentioned pain pills, right? And I had mentioned that I didn't even realize you could get addicted to them. So throughout this whole thing, every time I would clean up, I would go back, I would see my doctor, and he'd put me right back on my medication, which it was at the time it was Lortab, and that would help me. That would help me, not hurt so bad. My back is just it's trash. I got a bad left shoulder. It was just one of them things. Well, so it comes from a doctor, right? A doctor, they go onto their computer, they print you out a prescription, you go to the pharmacy, you turn it in, they hand you medication, you are 100% legal. There's technically nothing a cop can do about it. So knowing that, you're like, okay, so I'm good. I'm not out here breaking the law. Obviously if you sell them or you buy them, off the street, yeah, you are, but you're doing it legally, so you don't really think you're doing nothing wrong. And from a legal standpoint, you're not. But what everybody has to realize is them pain pills, they're addictive exactly like heroin. There is no difference. As a matter of fact, I can tell you what a heroin high feels like, but I've never once done heroin. You can't get it here. I'm sure I could go to a big city, Oklahoma City or Tulsa or something. I'm sure I could find it all over. But here in my town, you can't find heroin. But I can tell you what a heroin high is like because, the pain pills, especially the really, really super strong ones, which I did get into later, it's basically the same thing. So, in between these stints, I had become dependent on pain medication, or I had become addicted to them. Didn't even realize it for a long time. When it became apparent to me is I would notice, so I'd get up for work at 4:00 in the morning. I'd take my pain medication. I'd be feeling great by the time I got to work, be good and awake, have maybe an energy drink or some coffee or something. And the little extra boost of energy, I always accredited it to the caffeine. And then I would notice on Saturday mornings, I would sleep in on Saturday mornings because that was Saturday and Sunday was my day off. And I would notice if I would sleep till like 8:00, dude, I would feel like shit when I got up. I mean, I felt bad. And I never could figure out why. Well, it's because I was taking my pain medication hours later than I was through the week. My body was used to having that pain medication at 4:00 on the dot. That was the first thing I done. When I got up, I took that pain medication. And so finally, after years of this, on and off for years, but after years of this, I realized, dude, these pain pills, they're more addictive than meth. As far as quitting meth, I mean, maybe a slight withdrawal for a day or two, but these pain pills, dude, if you try, so I tried to quit. I put them down, right? No, sir. I thought I was going to die. Like, I literally thought I was going to die. You talk about sick.
Yeah, when I had my back surgery, bro, I asked to not have opiates. I'm like, I don't want your pills. I just give me something that'll make the pain go away a little bit. Like,
yeah.
So they would give me something without opiates in it. I was like, I don't want to get hooked on something. Like, don't, you know what I mean? I've heard too many horror stories. Yeah.
That's why I never tried heroin or anything like that, because meth was my drug of choice. And I knew I had such a hard time with that I would never get, I I was too scared, kind of like you were. You said you were scared to try things like that, Mick. I was, and I'm glad I was on that, because who knows where I'd be now. But I always liked that upper. I mean, I was on that upper end of things too. Always, I was a adrenaline junkie, and I just love that high. And it's drugs like that you can train yourself to think a certain way, because you're constantly dwelling on something. Especially with my mind, I have some depression and anxiety anyway. So there's things inside my mind that the drug was amplifying a lot, and I was starting to train my mind to think a certain way. And so that's when I decided. I was putting hard times on my wife and my family, and it got to the point, like, are you going to do this forever? I mean, are you going to really, do you want to do this to the ones you love forever? No, I didn't. So that's what changed my mind on the drug, I guess. Because really, you got to find those little things. I made a post today on Instagram. We went out on a walk with my kids, and it's those little things in life. Sometimes those small things can bring you back down into those holes, but the little things that are right there in front of you that you got to realize that those are there to help. And focus on those instead of the bad.
Yeah, totally agree. So the pain pill thing, actually, my wife, she finally found a clinic that they specialized in pain pill addiction. And so what would happen is I would go get this medication. It was called Suboxone. And I would go get this medication, and I would take it. Man, I'd be good. You know what I mean? I'd wake up in the mornings. I didn't have these withdrawals, but in 2 or 3 days, then they would start coming back, And so it was back and forth, from pills to Suboxone. And then I found this doctor in Mustang, Oklahoma, and me and her got to talking, and she said, listen, she said, I'll give you this medication for addiction. She said, I'm not going to turn you down. She was like, but what you're telling me? She was like, you need a pain management regimen that uses a medication like this. And I said, oh, really? I didn't know there was such a thing. She said, okay, we have this other medication. It's really similar to it. It's called Subutex, right? And it's basically Suboxone. It's just there's something slightly different about it. And she said, I can do a pain management regimen with you on this. She said, and it's super low milligrams. She's like, I'm not going to hardly give you anything. You're going to take like half a tablet daily. And so once we finally found that, and my wife did all this. My wife helped me find every bit of this. She done all the research. She done this and that. And it ended up, that's where I ended up, is on a pain management regimen that doesn't use, Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 narcotics. It is considered a narcotic, but it's like a Schedule 3. Half the time, I still take it to this day, but half the time I can miss it, and I'm fine. The only time I ever know that I haven't taken it is if, like, I wake up and I can't stand straight up, something along them lines. But yeah, it's been a godsend, I guess you could call it.
I have a question.
Yep.
Who's this grumpy son bitch next to me?
He does look mad, doesn't he?
It's the tank.
I was just waiting for.
Looks like you're gonna give me a knuckle sandwich, doesn't it?
No, dude. No, I came on, asked Mick to come on. I have no addiction story whatsoever. I just applaud the 5 of you guys and anybody else in the chat who's willing to discuss your addiction story, because it was hard enough for me the first time on a live in front of people I respect to actually tell just my PTSD story. And because we're all men and we're proud and we don't want people to look down on us or whatever, but for me, that was therapeutic. Just to tell it and not be in a therapy session, so to speak. So I can't imagine the nerves you guys had to have to say well, not have to, but to choose to say what you did to us. That and I didn't hear any of the other ones. I've heard Eric's before. I've heard Mick's before, but Scott and Casey, I haven't heard yours. But Dave, goddamn, man, I couldn't imagine having to deal with that. You know, having to wake up or having my wife wake up and me be in jail. The closest I've come to anything like that was my wife. She had been prescribed Ambien. Now we both figured out that she couldn't take it anymore because they call it Ambien buying, where she'd buy stuff and not know. Like, and the biggest one was a pair of stripper boots. No, I'm not kidding. She asked me one night to
stripper boots. I'm just saying.
Well, hold on.
You know, you were real upset about it.
She wanted. No, she's not a stripper.
I'm only kidding, Brad.
She wanted me to pick out a pair of boots for her that she could wear with dresses and pants and whatnot. So I picked her out a pair of knee-high boots. The next morning, she wakes up and lo and behold, she had taken an Ambien. But she showed me these boots that went up to your mid-thigh, pencil stiletto heels that were 12 inches.
Oh,
and
God.
yeah, I that's why I said they were stripper boots. Like, there was no denying that she should have been having somebody make it rain. but here's where we both knew that she couldn't take Ambien. She said, "You want to try it just to see what it's like?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I go to take my dog outside, and I'm not kidding. 10 minutes after I popped that pill, I ended up having to grasp the ground to stand, and it looked like I was in a football stance, and the world just said shoop, and I couldn't get up. Like, I was literally in the football stance, and she had to come by and grab me by the waist and pick me up. And yeah, after that I was like, you can't be doing this. She'd pass out in the bathtub with the water running, and I'd come home from work and there'd be water all the way into our living room. I mean, it just, yeah, and she'd be passed out. And we're not talking like, hey, baby. No, I mean, you could literally beat her to death and she wouldn't have known it. That's how asleep she would get with it. Well, Ambien's part of what killed Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
It was Ambien and a cocktail of a whole bunch of other drugs. So I can't imagine what you guys are going through, and I applaud you for having enough balls to get up here and tell everybody this stuff.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know what? I've got an Ambien story. I was, you know, I don't hardly sleep, and that doctor, she give me Ambien for a very short amount of time, and she told me she said it just like this. This was she's kind of a like a hipster doctor. She said, make sure your ass is laying down when you take this pill, and I said okay, and I done that, and then one night I go in there to get in bed. I pop the pill. I go to lay down, and somebody shows up at the house. So I get up to visit, right? Dude, I start hallucinating. Like, I've got all these just amazing ideas, and I'm in there with pencil and paper writing all these amazing ideas down, something I'm going to build or something I'm going to do. And I wake up the next morning and I look at that, and
it's all gibberish.
It is the most harebrained bullshit you have ever heard of in your life.
My wife had laid out one night. I woke up the next morning and there was a literally, she didn't open the can. This was all in a Tupperware bowl. A can of refried beans, 2 eggs, a stick of butter, still in the wrapper.
Yeah.
And had dumped sour cream into the Tupperware bowl.
Oh.
Now, at some point, some of that sounded really good to her. And I woke up the next morning and looked in the bowl, and she got up, and I was like, what were you going to make with this? She goes, I didn't put that out. I was like, none of us did. He was like, I have no idea. She had no idea she even did it. But that is the most obscure crap you could ever throw into a Tupperware dish, and she thought that sounded good for her for the midnight snack, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy. But
Yep.
like I said, I applaud you guys. It took a lot of balls to come up there and say what you did.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
You're
that, man.
welcome.
I absolutely appreciate that. I tell you what,
I'm
guys,
not
while
as
we're at
grumpy as I look, Dave.
yeah. Oh, Dave
He
froze.
froze again.
He froze.
He froze again.
He took it
So-
in. Wake him up.
Wake him up.
Boom.
While we are at a stopping point, let's go ahead and do a little giveaway here. So
Take it away.
oh, Dave's so mad right now because he spent all this money trying to fix his internet problems and it's freaking right back again. I hate that too. I had them.
Max
Yeah.
headroom.
We can hear you, but you're froze a little bit still.
Man,
I see your lips move, but I can't hear you talk. I'm physically impaired in the ear.
What do I have?
Time's a good time for a Billy Madison.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, well, shit. I can't even see his lips move now.
Oh no.
Raggy. We
we
have
can-
a
we can
problem.
hear
I'm
you.
muted.
Yeah,
Can
we
you hear me?
you, but you're yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. You still froze up, but we can hear you.
All right, guys.
How
So
about
let's
now?
do.
Am I back?
There he
You
is.
are back.
Yep.
You are back.
I'm gonna have to restart my computer before the hype. Jeez, criminy.
You're right. You sure better do that. All right, guys. So let's do a $50 gift certificate to the Captain Stash. Now, all right, guys. So whoever wins this, the gift certificate thing is brand new to Clint's website. So you're going to get with me, and I'm going to send you the gift card, but then I'm also going to walk you through how to use it. So
You
we
can
will.
hold your hand while you buy. That's an experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've got, what do we got? 24 people in here. I'll tell you what, we'll go.
I think I did, Chris. I think I got your old internet, bro. All I did was move across this where I live, right? Like across the whole to the other side. Now I live right by the golf course, and it's got to be the golf course. I'm blaming the golf course. It's their
It's
fault.
definitely the golf course. So, all right, guys, we'll just do a random number for this one. I've got the number pulled up. Same rules as always, guys. Only enter once.
Those of you that don't know who Clint is, it's Captain Stash.
Captain Stash. Yep.
Okay.
Don't cry if you get prioritized, is what I would say. And as soon as I give you the number range, you are free to start guessing. So your number range is going to be 10 through 22. 10 through 22. Good luck, guys. Oh, and I didn't put the number in the private chat in case any of you guys wanted to guess at it. And I should have said that sooner because we already got a winner. Hold on. We got a whole bunch of winners.
I didn't even see private chat yet, so.
I didn't put it in the private chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't put it in the private chat so y'all could guess. Yeah. And it's a good thing I didn't.
Out of range.
It is a good thing I did not do that because
Casey.
see if I can get my
Wow.
phone down here.
It's been a while.
Yeah. There was a bunch of 12, so I got you,
Oh,
Adrian,
man.
Eric.
14's the same thing, bro.
Jeez.
Come on. 14's close enough.
Jeez.
Congrats. I mean, and y'all are all
wasn't
three
even close.
right there back to back to back. So it goes Sober Chef, Dave, Casey, Adrian, Eric, Devin, and yeah, so y'all were all three just right there back to back to back.
Well, the range was supposed to be 29 to 29.
I like
You
what
had
you
a
did
little
there,
lock
Eric.
there.
I like it. I like it. Guy.
Well, thank you. I kind of feel bad, but I haven't tried Captain Stash's new blend, so that
No.
I would love to try that new
Johnny
blend.
Feel bad.
Groom. Best name of the game.
I picked this gift card up and that's the plan the whole time was to not put the number in the private chat. That way y'all could go for it. Johnny
Okay.
Groom, thank you for stopping by, brother.
Thank you, Mick
So,
and Captain Stash.
Sure.
I'll walk you through how to redeem it. This is not like
Are you trying to say something, Scott?
I was gonna say after he gets done with the saying what he's gonna say, if I can tell my story.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I
And
heard your story,
I was
Scott.
kinda-
I'm looking forward to it.
anytime you are ready, brother, you go right ahead.
Okay. Because I have like really high anxieties. It's been building up. I'm kind of nervous. So,
Bro,
I mean,
I'll tell you, Scott. I feel you, dude. I'm not usually nervous on camera. I was super nervous to tell you guys that. I've never told anybody in the community.
Same here, brother.
So,
Hey, and
yeah.
if you need to stop at any point, dude, you do what's best for you. You do what you got to do, man.
okay. So, I don't know if a lot of people know, but I also struggle with a lot of mental issues as well. So, like, mental health is very important to me as well. And when I was 14, growing up, when I was 14, I started smoking weed and smoking cigarettes. And I figured, that was a way to cope with things. And that was the cool thing to do back then. Smoking weed, listening to heavy metal, playing hacky sack, all that good stuff. And then,
Oh yeah.
and then we got into the drinking. And then, a little bit later on in my life, my very first girlfriend that I ever had, she didn't really care for me smoking weed or anything like that. She didn't want no part of that. So, she was like, just leave me out of it. And, she wasn't, really an arse about it or whatever, but, she's just like, that's not my thing. I really don't want to be around it. It's like, okay, it's like, that's fine, but that won't stop me from doing what I'm doing. And, later on,
Talk about me like that.
come to find out, that I guess she heard from somebody else, like my brother's ex-girlfriend or whatever, that his girlfriend's sister, they told my girlfriend that my brother's girlfriend's sister, I was cheating on her with her, and I was like, that wasn't even the case. So, but come to find out anyway, she left me. Moral of the story, she left me, and then so at that time, I think I was like 15 because we'd been together for like almost a day shy of a year, and I was 15 at that time. And I just spiraled and lost off the deep end because I actually really, truly loved and cared about this girl. Even though she was my very first girlfriend, I truly and sincerely cared about this girl. And I went off the deep end, and I ended up drinking, and I cut some stuff into my arm. And I was like, I just blacked out and just cut stuff into my arm and everything. And I was like, man. And I came down, like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, my mind had went blank, if that makes sense. My mind went blank. And it's almost like a shroud of black just came over me. And I didn't even know what was going on at the time. Because what happened, my, like, anxiety and stuff got so high that your mind just basically switches off, like your, body does, like when you're in an REM sleep mode, and your brain just like blacks out. And I didn't even know what was going on. And then I remember my dad, he got angry at me, and he's like, the next time you do something like that, I'm gonna do it for you. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, okay. I was like, that just took me a step back for a minute, but just came to find out later on though, I was 19, and of course in my time, growing after my first girlfriend, I've had girlfriends since then, on and off since then. And You know, I broke a few hearts and stuff in my time and whatnot. And then when I was 19, I met a girl, you know, I thought I really liked her or whatever, you know, and dated her for a couple months. I had a kid with her, and I ended up marrying her because I thought, you know, that was the thing to do. That was my thing, my way of showing out I'm responsible as a person, you know. But the thing of it is like me and my first wife, we never got along. We probably would have killed each other if we would have stayed together any longer. We probably would have killed each other because that's how bad it was. Like she literally, like we fought over. Like I don't even like to talk about my son because you know it's hard. But we ended up getting into an argument over my son one time, and she put me in a chokehold, like really bad chokehold. I mean, she was a bigger girl than me, like twice my size. You know what I'm saying? So she put me in a chokehold and everything, and the cops got involved and whatnot. And they's like, "Well, I could take you to jail for calling her a bitch." And I was like, "You don't even know the whole story." I said, "She tried to kill me," and it's like, "You're telling me that you're going to take me to jail because I called her a bitch?" I was like, "That." I was like, "That don't make any sense whatsoever." But anyway, not too long after that, she left. She took my kid, moved out of state to New York, and I live in Ohio, so she took my kid out of state, moved to New York when he was 5 years old. And also, mind you, I was taking care of a second child of hers that was not mine, and I already knew that wasn't mine. So I had everything on my plate, and I was working everything at that time. And then it came to the point where I broke down after she left and took my kid out of state. It came to a point where I broke down. I lost my job. I started drinking really heavily then, and I couldn't pay my rent, didn't have any electricity or whatever. You know, my friends or my family, you know, because my family, they drink too. So my friends and my family, they always had the alcohol. So, you know, it was right there. So that was what was there around me all the time. And that was my way of coping with things for like the longest time. And it just spiraled out from there. And then I got a call and she wanted me to go up to upstate New York to be up there, to be there for my kid. I was like, you know what? I was like, okay, I want to try to be close to him. So I left everything behind, mind you, everything, all my possessions. All I had was a suitcase that had a few items of clothing in it. And that was it. That was legit it. Everything that we had, like all the possessions, the couch, the TV, everything I owned, I left back, you know, back behind for my son. I literally left everything for him. And then when I got up there, it got intensely worse because, you know, I was up there to try to be with him, and I was staying there with her boyfriend at the time, and he was a really bad, I don't know, like I don't even have any words to say about this guy because he's just something else. But either way, he basically was like a bully, and he's like bullying me into drinking again. And, you know, I didn't really want to do that around my son. And basically, he was the type of person where he had money, all right, and his family had money. So in any situation that he would have got into, he would have got out of because of money. And come to find out later, he actually got into a situation with his own kids. And I found out later that it happened to my own kid from this guy. And if I would have known it at that time instead of at the time, then I probably wouldn't be here today. I probably wouldn't be here today. But yeah, in either case, the dude had a case against himself, and then he he got out of it because of money. So this guy, and he had guns and everything, guns, knives, everything around the house. So I was scared shitless, you know what I'm saying? I was scared shitless. So I had to basically be strung along with what was going on. And then I met a girl. She's like, hey, I'll get you away from this situation, whatever. You can come and live with me and, you know, everything, and we'll take care of your son, blah, blah, and everything else. Okay, it's like, oh, good and cool and fine. You know, I thought she was cool at the time. I thought she would be a good person. You know, she's being kind-hearted and whatnot. I moved in with her and her mom. Come to find out, you know, she had just as bad as mental struggles as me, if not worse. And, well, I burnt a grilled cheese sandwich. Yeah, this is how stupid it was. I burnt a grilled cheese sandwich, and then she kicked me out of the house. She kicked me out. So I had nowhere to go. So I had to leave upstate New York. Friends, my family wouldn't take me in at the time, or anything like that. Well, I take that back. I did stay at my aunt's house for, I think, maybe a week. And then I ended up going to a homeless shelter. And then, yeah, it was from there. I went from the homeless shelter. And then, or was I in the homeless shelter? No, I can't remember exactly. And I think I might have went to the psych ward at that time. But in either case, though, I've been in the psych ward a couple of times before, you know, I got everything figured out. And then from there, I went to the psych ward, and then they got me on medication. And then that's when I stopped the drinking, and then I started being on somewhat of a, you know, a schedule for medication, try to get me mentally focused back to where I should be somewhat. I mean, I still had some issues along the way, but I mean, it helped. It was starting to help at that time. And then I also lived, oh, that's what happened. I lived over with my friends. I ended up moving in with one of my friends. And then I had toxic friends at that time. And with my friends, I was in my 20s. So, you know, the 20s, how things go. You know, you're 20, you have your drinking era. That's when things really started to spiral out of control. I lived with a very toxic, you know, group of friends. And they would have parties all the time. Like every day, that house was filled with at least 20 people. Like the back door and front door was always open. People would go in one door and out the other door. Like it was like a bar, I'm telling you. Like the alcohol came from somewhere. And it was such a small town, too. That's what's funny. So it's a small town. And like everybody knew each other, you know what I'm saying? They didn't necessarily get along and like each other because there was a lot of fights, a lot of blood shed in that place. People got thrown out of the freaking windows in that place. And my anxiety was just that much higher, you know, because I was staying in that room and I was trying to work at the time too and trying to hold a job, and with my stress level that high and my anxiety that high and parties going on, the music going on all the time. And it just got insane. And it got to the point where, you know, the drinking was the only way that I could try to numb it out to where I can actually sleep or even function at the time and, you know, get rid of the anxiety. And then come to find out, you know, I started snorting pills too along the way, and I never knew it because I already started drinking at that time. And by the time I was drinking, you know, I was already half gone. So when I was half gone, I started snorting pills and stuff at that time, not even knowing about it until somebody told me like the day after. You know, I was like, hey, you know, you were being an idiot and doing this and that and whatnot. And I was like, okay. So I had to go and, you know, it's like they told me, it's like, you know, you need to go get some help. So it's when I went to see my psych doctor, and she put me on basically the prescription I'm on now. And it really evened things out. And from then on, you know, because there's been another time I blacked out when I was drinking, and I cut my leg really bad. I probably should have gotten stitches, but I didn't. But I probably should have. I mean, I have a really bad scar on my leg, and I have, you know, memories and everything from it. But like after that, I decided, this is when it has to stop. I can't hold a job. I can't do anything. I can't even control my life. So I went to the psych ward for a couple months. Actually, it was about 3 months. I was at the psych ward. I was trying. Oh yeah, on top of that, I was trying to go to, college. Do the college work online at that time as well. And in the midst of all of that chaos, I was trying to go do my college work on top of it all. So I was in the psych ward for 3 months, and then I was in the homeless shelter for 2 months after. And that's when I met my recent wife, which, we mutually split up. But if I didn't meet her, I would have been in a group home, and that's probably where I would have stayed for the rest of my life. So I'm very glad that I did meet my most recent wife, and because I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have a place on my own. I wouldn't have anything that I have. I wouldn't be able to, create anything. I wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't, for her getting me out of that situation. And I just thank God every day, and I just, look up and see around me of like everything that I have and what I can bring to everybody else now. And I'm very grateful for all of it.
We are very. Oh, I'm muted. No, I'm not muted. We are very grateful for you, brother.
Nope.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
That's all. Isn't that like? And I don't mean to cut anybody off, but isn't that like the craziest thing? Like when you have that person, like my wife's my person, right? She's my ride or die. Everybody knows that. I always say it, right? That woman would fight over something that I wouldn't want to fight over just to protect me, right? Like that's how she is. I call her my what do you call it? Doberman. She'll game over. You know what I'm saying? But if we have that kind of support, like Scott, I totally understand what you're saying, man. And congrats for you to get through that, because mental illness sometimes can be worse than almost an addiction. And technically, if you think about it, a mental illness is addiction, to a point. But I applaud you, man. I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're getting better. And I see you getting better by being on more lives and putting yourself out there more. But just know that we all notice that stuff. We see it, man. So good for you, bro.
Appreciate that. I mean, like I said, I really don't like to come on like during my negative times. I don't like to show that on camera or social media, because if anybody knows me, I'm trying to be a positive, uplifting person because of all the recent stuff that has happened and stuff in my life. Finding out with the diseases and whatnot that I have to go through. So,
can I say something to you real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
What you just said and what you just did was probably the most positive thing that's happened to me today. You ready? You know that? Like for real, like everything you guys have said on this panel, like has been the most positive thing, because I know I'm not the only one, right? Yep. So like, you're not alone. There's other people out there. There's more people out there than anybody knows that have had struggles with addiction or mental illness or anything like that. So it really is a positive thing what you said today. And I know it was really hard for you to do it, and it was really hard for me to do it. And Mick, I'm sure like his daughter for the very first time just heard what he said. You know what I'm saying? My daughter was in the other room having dinner with my wife. She just heard what happened. So, I mean, it's a lot of putting out there, but it's a lot of good. I think it's good. Yeah. I think it's a really good thing. So
appreciate it.
And no, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, most people that end up having substance abuse or alcoholism issues, most of the time, they don't realize that they have a mood disorder or there's a chemical imbalance. Yeah. All they know is, like for me, I got sexually molested when I was 10. And shortly after that, the guilt and the self-hatred and all that stuff. And the only time I got any relief, or at least I thought I was getting relief, was when I was high or drunk or whatever. And then over the years, my tolerance builds up. I need more and more. And then it's like, oh, you want to try mushrooms? Yeah, sure. Makes you happy? I'll try it. And when I used to get off work, I would go to the bar, and one of the bars that I was a regular at, I'd be like, all right, give me 3 pints of happiness,
So honestly, I'm going to say this too, because he just said that makes you want to do better, right? That's what Brian just said. Every single time that I think about all the stuff that I've done in my life, and it's not like a lot of the stuff is horrible, like you don't even want to hear it, but some of the stuff that I've done makes me who I am today. Like I understand people. I get why they do the things they do, right? Out of emotion or just anger or jealousy or whatever the reason is that they do it, right? But I've learned that with doing these things and being able to help people and for people like Scott to say what Scott just said, or Casey, or you, Eric, or you, Mick, just I think it's such a good thing, man. I think it's such a positive thing. It's I just can't get over how awesome this panel was. It's just really cool to hear you guys' stories and to learn. I was watching you guys before I came in. I had you up on my big screen in my bedroom. I was watching. So I was waiting for the right time to come in. I was like, should I go in? Maybe I should wait. Okay, I'll go in. All right, fine.
I finally made it on the big screen.
Perfect
You were
time.
on my big screen. You were, bro. You were. You made
going back to what Scott said a little bit. The people that you surround yourself with makes a huge difference on your mental health and your overall focus on everything. Dave has made this point before. There's a few other people in the community that have made this point, and it makes perfect sense. The situations and the people you surround yourself with can make a huge difference on your mental health and your the way you think.
And a lot of it too, like another thing added to making yourself better is a lot of stuff that I've done in my past, I think is a reason why in the back of my head, it's always get in the gym, make yourself better, get in the gym, make yourself better, get in the gym.
Yeah.
People are like, Dave, why do you go to the gym at 3:30 in the morning? Because I feel like I have to do that to make myself better. You know what I mean? Like that's just
personal growth
every single day, better and better. And I truly believe, man, whether it's 30 days that you've been sober, it's 3 days you've been sober, it's today. What have you done today? Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow. Worry about right
at a time.
You know what I'm saying? Like what I say with everything else, like I told somebody one time, I said, don't think about tomorrow quitting smoking. Think about the next 10 minutes. And then after that, if you think about it an hour later, think about it for 10 more minutes. Be like, I just need to make another 10 minutes. And then when you make it, it's 2 hours later. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then eventually it goes 5 hours, and then you're like 10 more minutes. And then it's the day. You just made the day because you did that for yourself. And it's psychological. It really is. So
yeah.
It truly
going off of what you just said, Dave, like what the gym is for you is what video games does for me. Like the video games for me, with the mental stress and whatnot and everything, people are like, video games, they call this, it's not always the case, and it's not true. Like if you look at the case, especially in like people that have mental illness and everything, and especially like if you look and see the Down syndrome's kids and stuff like that, the video games and everything, it helps them, and people like me put things, the pieces together to try to connect everything and figure out how everything works. And then you get that whole like they have like the augmented reality kind of stuff, all that stuff and everything, and how you perceive everything and everything. And it just opens up a whole nother world to you. And it's not just stream in to try to get some attention or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And the gaming is not like all about that kind of stuff. It actually helps some people. So, I mean, like I said, what the gym is to Dave is what video games are to me.
I'm always down to get on and kill some people on Call of Duty. I'm totally like, I'll have like the worst day ever, and I'll be like, okay, Dave, you can't really kill people in real life. You need to go play Call of Duty. Like, it's just good for your mental state. Get on there, do some fake stuff, virtual, whatever. I mean, it's just like when you go play laser tag, you're not killing anybody, but it's fun because you kind of are, right? I mean, they follow you got it. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You get a little extra kill, like, oh man, I'm done. All right.
That's why I prefer paintball. You can actually inflict a little bit of pain.
Bro, I have been pelted so bad. Such a big target, man. Like,
Fun fact: I used to be on a semi-professional paintball team. So what it is, it's kids of a certain age, like between I think 12 and 15, with one adult sponsor that actually plays. So
you want to hear a funny story?
Leading a team of kids. Yeah.
I played a friggin' they were like a team for my buddy's bachelor party, right? I'd set this thing up. I made it like we went out and we were doing paintball. These kids had these little 5 freaking trigger guns, right? And all I heard was, and I'm like, ah! And I'm like jumping behind the thing. And I'm like, I threw my gun up in the air and everything. I was like, ah! And I'm like underneath the thing. And I'm like, is he done? I'm like looking around because I'm behind a balloon, right? I'm like hiding behind. I'm hugging the balloon. I'm like, this dude is nuts, bro. Like, I'm not even cool with this. Why am I?
Yeah, I planned a team build thing when I was with Whole Foods for the seafood team. And so first we did some community service. We planted some trees and spread some mulch. And then we got food, and then we played paintball. And it was funny because the assistant team leader and this other team member were the 2 laziest people on the team. Guess who got pelted more than anybody else that day?
Is that right?
And then my team leader was like, our store manager, the GM, put a $20 hit. He's like, the first person to get your team leader in the head or on the neck, I'm giving him $50. I got it. He was on my team.
That's awesome.
But I was like, I'm making that money.
Right. So
I'll do anything for $20, Eric said.
Right. Speaking of that, I actually got my jaw dislocated playing paintball one time by a shot.
Wow.
It was down to 2 people, me and a friend of mine. I mean, we were out playing. You know, there was our team we was playing each other, and we both made it to a round bale of hay, and we was on opposite sides of it, and we would lean over, shoot, go back, lean over, shoot, go back, and I leaned too soon one time. I leaned right into it, and he shot, and it went right up under my mask, and it literally dislocated my jaw. It sucked so bad.
Holy cow,
Oh, man.
Man, I need to get some of this hot sauce and freaking jerky. This
Yeah,
cat's
let's
like,
Sober Chef he's going to donate an 8-ounce jar of hot sauce, and I'm going to tell you right now, mine, which obviously I'm not going to enter because I'll have the number, but my jar that I have, I think I got the first jar of it that, as far as the beard community is concerned. So I've got the first jar of Eric's hot sauce. It's amazing. Like,
It was
what's
from
weird
a
is
100 subscriber giveaway.
right, and it's good. Like, okay, so obviously, you know, hot sauce on tacos, stuff like that, but it's good on other things too. Like, I'll slap some on a burger. I mean, I've put it on all kinds of stuff, and I'm just about out. So yeah, let's we will go ahead and give that away. We got 24 people in here.
I heard
Let me
things.
get
I'm ready.
Let me get my generator back up.
Yeah, and he's not putting the number in our private
That's
chat.
a good point.
So
Yeah, no, you guys
White, that's a good point there too.
are allowed to enter also, so I am not going in the private chat with it. I've got the number. So guys, same rules as always. Only enter once. You will probably get prioritized. As soon as I give you the number range, you are free to start guessing. And your number range is going to be 1 to 12. 1 to 12. Good luck, guys.
Yes, I won. I took Code's number. Eat that, Devin.
My phone died, so I don't even have a chance to win this one.
I win because I put in Devin's number.
I think
Rob, what's going on, buddy?
going back to what Scott was saying this last time too, I can tell you're a creator, Scott, with the way that you were explaining, the games and how you're piecing things together to see what fits. You're a scent that's what made you a scent creator for sure. You definitely have that in you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to.
You do it very well too. Yes.
I wanted to give a shout out to Donald too for his comment. They say he's another zebra in the community, and it was really cool to talk to him. And so did he win too? Speaking of,
He won. He won.
That's crazy.
Oh man, Devin, you let me down, bro. What the frig, dude? Trying to get my Devin in there real fast.
Reach out to me on IG. Do you have IG?
I think Donald does.
Yes, he does. Yes,
Yeah,
he does.
Donald does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he did. Yeah, just reach out to me on IG. Shoot me whatever name you want me to send it to. It doesn't have to be Donald Long. You can call yourself, you can call yourself Smelly Turtle if you want. But give me your address and I'll get that in the mail within a week.
I say, I choked up,
Donald.
So I choked up a little bit of tears when he said that about being an inspiration and having him be able to talk about it, publicly about the rare diseases and stuff. I'm glad that I inspired some people out there.
Turtle says, "Hey, now."
Let's keep the positive vibes going here.
He said,
I can't wait to get into some of that.
Hey, now.
Whoa.
All right, guys. So also we're gonna do two. We're gonna do a bottle of Mimic from Beard Mana, and I am telling you guys right now, that to me is their most underrated scent. It is fire. Like, it is amazing. If anybody in the chat has it, let everybody know what you think about it. I love it.
I just ordered mine right before we came on live.
Yep. We will. You know what? We'll just go ahead and jump into one of them right now. Let's see here. I'm gonna swap the range a little bit. What do we still got?
Don't you be all like ha 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 at me, Rob, with your I have potions, you little freaking guy. This guy.
All right, guys. So this is going to be for a bottle of Mimic from Beard Mana. I ain't going to go over the rules again. Everybody knows it. When I give you the number range, you are free to guess. So your range is going to be 30 to 42. 30 to 42. Good luck.
I'm going with Kirby Puckett because I'm from Minnesota. You see the number? That is Kirby Puckett's number, just so you know. That went in there.
Kirby was the man.
Dude, I remember the day he got hit in the face. I remember the day he lost his eye, man. I remember that day. I was watching that game. I used to go watch the Twins. That was when – is it just me or is that when baseball was fun back then? Like, some reason there's no Homer Hankies.
That's when I used to watch it.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Braves when they go do the chop and everything. Yeah. Dude, that was so fun.
Back when Randy Johnson killed a bird with a fastball.
Yeah, that was crazy. You remember that? The bird just went.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that just happened on
feathers.
But the best
nowadays, you'd be like, we can't play baseball outside anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
my personal favorite memory of baseball was when George Brett batted, and then they wanted to collect the bat to check the pine tar, and he grabbed the bat, and they were chasing him around the field. If you've never seen it, YouTube it. And then the other good one was Nolan Ryan accidentally hit Robin Ventura with a pitch, and Robin Ventura charged the mound, and Nolan Ryan whooped his butt.
Hey, Rob, again, stop with the bullying in the chat, okay, dude? We get it. It's good. All right, Mr. I don't need butter with Beard Mana.
All right, guys, so we did not catch a winner on that one. The number was 38. Nobody guessed it.
That was more than my number. Come on, that's kind of a winner.
I'm gonna lower the range just a little bit, and we are going to redo this. Josh Ricks wants to know if Junk Waffle comes in a butter.
It does. We will be making more pretty soon.
All right, guys. So we're gonna re-roll for a bottle of Mimic beard oil from Beard Mana. So your number range is going to be 1 through 10. 1 through 10. Good luck. And go. You know what? I didn't even hit generate to get a number. All right. Now I got a number.
Oh, man. He cheated. It was my number, and he re-rolled. What the heck?
I think one person I know off the top of my head that has it is Shaky, Billy Rogers.
We definitely have a winner this time. Let me make sure nobody beat him here. Nope, He's the only one. All right. Terps McTavish.
Yeah.
Congrats, brother. So I'm assuming, do they need to DM the Beard Mana page or just either one of you guys?
Yeah, the Beard Mana page, preferably.
Okay, Terps, look up Beard Mana on Instagram and hit him up there. If you don't have Instagram, let us know real quick and we will get an email for you. He does? Okay.
I think he does.
Yeah, I've seen Terps on IG, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
he is.
Cool. Awesome, man. Congrats, brother.
Yeah, like
There was
Chad
something. There was something I was gonna.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was now.
That's your 10-second alarm.
Believe it or not, you know what that is? That's actually my biotin alarm. If I don't remember it, or if I don't set that alarm, I'll never remember to take it. I'll take it like twice a week if I don't set that alarm.
I just take it with my night meds. I lay out my meds for the week and pill organizers, and that way I don't
Dude,
miss
did
it.
you guys see my live this morning with all my pills out on my table of what I take to work out? It's crazy.
The supplements?
Yeah, I take so many supplements. I just take a ton because I know I'm not going to get it all. You know what I mean? With the food I eat. So I take red drinks, green drinks, creatine. I take tons of vitamins. He's like, why do you take so many vitamins? I'm like, well, if what I don't use, it's going to pee out anyway. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Are you vegan?
Huh?
Are you vegan?
No.
No,
Okay.
I love meat. Meat is so good. But I've changed to like chicken and fish more than anything else now.
Okay.
So, yeah. Red meat's too high in cholesterol, so I try to stay away from it. But
Gotcha.
I have a cholesterol issue.
And buffalo's too expensive.
Buffalo's amazing.
not in Colorado.
It's expensive.
Oh,
It's cheap here too.
oh man, now I'm getting hungry. Now my mouth is
Yeah,
watering.
buffalo burgers are like the best you ever get. Like
Buffalo jerky is on point, bro.
I haven't had buffalo jerky, but I
Oh,
just recently ordered some summer sausage that's actually buffalo. It's a wild game assortment, so hopefully they'll come in soon. But it's got like buffalo and elk and a couple other things in there, so I'm excited to try those.
Yeah, in my local Kroger, I can get ground elk for $7.99 a pound.
Nobody
I
cares.
get-
Eric, enough.
Ground Wagyu for
Look at I
$6.99.
can get over here, you guy. Friggin', that's good though for a chef to be able to get that kind of stuff though. That's dope, right? Like that's
So you can make a good jerky.
You can't make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gotta get
really-
that good jerky.
So jealous right now, dude. You have no idea. I live in Florida. You want rice and beans? I got you, bro.
I'll take some of that fresh Key West shrimp, though.
Oh yeah, I get lots of shrimp. Yeah.
Oh,
shrimp.
yeah.
I'll
That
pop,
Gulf
like I'll buy
shrimp,
one of those
fresh
big
Gulf shrimp.
pound bag things. I'll put them in the deep fryer after I marinate them for a while. Oh my gosh, so good. I just fed the family last night. We did. I marinated it in like a garlic teriyaki for like a half an hour, 45 minutes. Threw them in the deep fryer, and we put it over some jasmine rice and some vegetable. Oh my gosh, man, it was so good, so good.
That sounds awful.
We've got a spot here you can actually go shoot your own buffalo and take it off of one of the reservations here.
Yep.
You have to pay the reservation, and then you can go on and actually hunt your own buffalo.
So, Pete, the biggest thing about retaining water is if you don't actually do physical activities, you're going to retain water if you don't find a way to not. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm very active. I sweat a lot. I'm actually sweating right now. So, I don't know if you guys ever noticed when I always wear a black shirt when I'm on live, because if I don't, you'll see sweat pits underneath my arms. I don't know if you can see it with the light, but they're darker. But it definitely, I drink so much water and I sweat it right out. So
I'm the same exact way.
Yep.
I'm the same exact way.
That's why
guys,
like
let's,
Dan will be like, dude, why don't you wear like a blue shirt or like a gray shirt? And I'm like, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about it later.
Your beard looks so good though when it's got the nice colored shirts. I'm like, I know, but it blends then and nobody can really know it's super short. You know what I mean? I did. By the way, Walt was here today. And I think today was like one of the best cuts I ever gave Walt. He got the best business beard cut.
That cut looked amazing.
Did you see it?
Yeah, you did a good job. You did a good job on that cut.
When did you
Dave.
when
Yeah.
did you see it?
I was chatting with him earlier.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he was super.
I was on a
happy.
live chat with him in IG. Yeah. It looked really good.
So
Yeah.
I'll never tell Walt
I
that.
thought it was a different person right away. He
Well, you
jumped
should
in.
have
I was
seen all
like,
the hair on
"Whoa,
my floor. I
who's
was
this?"
cleaning after he left it. I cleaned mid-cut because he had so much hair on his head. And then I cleaned it again when I finished. And then I found more after he left. I was like, man, this dude had a ton of hair on his head today. I said, you're not allowed to come here that long anymore. 2 weeks, bro, max. That's it.
Well, Dave, this is also kind of a rare occasion for you as well. You don't have the shortest beard on screen.
Oh, thanks, Eric. I appreciate
Hey.
you, man. Thanks for making
Yeah.
my buddy feel
You
good.
really appreciated that, Eric.
I really legit did. Like, you have no idea. Because Josh is in here. He's always yelling at me. No, I'm just kidding. He always says he always says nice things. I'm kidding.
You know I care for you if I bust your balls.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
All
I
right,
know
guys,
it's
let's give away another mimic beard oil here. We're going to change it up just a little bit. Now, what I want everybody to do is wait until they see the dots. Something was brought to my attention that was not exactly fair, so
Oops.
we will wait, and that way everybody here sees it at the same time. So let me pull up my generator here again. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do that right there. All right, guys. So as soon as you see the dots, go ahead and guess. So I'll go ahead and give you the number range now, but you're gonna have to wait till after the dots. Anything before the dots don't count. You wait for them dots, as Johnny Grooms would say.
You stop yelling at me. As I
All
always
right, guys,
say, Johnny Grooms.
The range is gonna be 1 through 10. It's gonna be 1 through 10.
Oh, that cologne really comes out after it sits a little bit. I like that mimic. I'm going to like that a lot.
Appreciate it.
Oh, boom! First number.
Get out of here.
First number.
Hey.
First number.
Attaboy, Eric.
Congrats, Eric.
Right off the bat. First number.
Winner,
Nice.
winner, chicken dinner.
Chicken dinner.
Hashtag winning.
My daughter just told me that, or I think it's a joke. What's funnier than 24, 25? They were
Yeah.
saying that the other day. I don't know where that comes from, but
SpongeBob.
I was before the dots on my
Okay,
screen.
okay. okay. I guess I didn't catch it.
You was
Yeah.
not. You was not before the dots on my screen or on StreamYard anyway. I don't know about YouTube. I don't have YouTube pulled up, but yeah, on StreamYard it goes Jay Cruz's dots, my dots, and then Sober Chef, and then Dave, and then Jay Cruz and Pete and Donald, and so on and so forth. The
Well-
next right answer was Brett.
Well, then let Brett have it because I just ordered Mimic earlier today.
Okay, so you want to pass it on to Brett?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he had the right number as well. And like I said, I just ordered it because they've got a really good deal on Mimic right now. If you go on their website,
Yeah.
$5.
Look, I can actually see
Beard
like
You got 5
I
on
can
it now.
actually see Brett in this picture because he took his hat and put it on his head, so it's not as bright. You know what I'm saying? So you can see who he is.
All right, Brett. So what you're going to do, buddy, is you're going to never mind. Hell, he knows how to do that. Never mind. I don't know what I'm thinking. He's an ambassador.
He knows where to go.
He knows what to do. That was a lapse in memory there for a second. I have that. You know what? I have that. I think that's a long-term effect of my past. Is, dude, I have trouble. I can remember stuff that happened a long time ago. Like, dude, my memory used to be sharp. Like, I don't forget anything, but a little bit of time has to pass before I remember it. Like, my wife will say, hey, start the dryer when you get home, and it'll take me 3 days to, and I was like, shit, I didn't start the dryer the other day. You know, something like, I don't know. It's short-term memory loss, I guess. It's so weird.
Yeah. My memory's done gone too.
Yeah, between my 9 or 10 concussions that I've had, 2 traumatic brain injuries that I've had, over 30 years of abusing my body and my brain with pretty much everything. My short-term memory is squat.
Yeah, Pete, there will be, man. They're actually going to be making them this weekend or next weekend or something soon. They said soon.
For Mimic, we don't know. So for Mimic, we don't know. We're trying to keep it alive. We're trying to keep the scent alive right now.
Ken. So I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't know what everybody is doing that is causing Mimic not to sell. Dude, that's a fire scent. Like it's I don't know, it's really good. Like I love it. Now I can see where somebody might smell it in the bottle and maybe not like it as much. But dude, once you put it in, that is a fire scent.
So I think it might be the scent list on it, because like a lot of people look at it but then don't buy it.
Okay.
It just doesn't sell very well.
Yeah, Ken, I think you'll really like it. It is nice. Like out of that last, well, not the last drop, the drop that they did on the stream, on my stream, where there was 4 cents pop up. I got to say that one's my favorite out of all of them, and evidently it's selling less than any of the other ones, and that's just mind blowing to me. I
appreciate that, and Rob Acker said he really likes it too.
Yeah, it's killer, dude. I love it.
Like Chad just said, he said just a teaser, but we're working on a couple of new releases, so we're working on that. So I've been excited for that.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for it for sure. I'm kind of getting back to where I can put in a few orders now after I spent so much money on the channel. I didn't dare make a purchase there for a little bit.
Mrs. Meg become one fly elbow.
Yeah, she would have not enjoyed that at all. I'm working on getting some hats made with the logo on them.
So I should get the fly swatter switch and the yardstick all at the same time.
There ain't no telling what she'd get after me then. But yeah, so I ordered. I'm actually wearing right now. But if you notice, the damn logo, they screwed the logo all up. The logo is down below what you would call the breast line, and it needs to be higher. So I redesigned.
Stand up again. I almost like that lower like that. I almost say it looks better because you can see it. Your beard doesn't clear it up.
It won't show up in my video, so I wanted it to start right here, which is about 5 inches below the collar, 4.5 to 5 inches. So I redesigned one, and I've got it on the way, kind of as a sample type deal, just to see. And I mean, man, because and me and Ken talked about this, so I'm not talking crap about Ken. It is probably not the best policy for me to throw a bluegrass bearded hat on and then shoot a video. You know what I mean? As well as it's not a good idea for me to throw a Bay Area Beardco hat on and shoot a video for Beard Mana. It's just, and in my opinion, that's, I mean, I guess you could call it tacky. I mean, or whatever, Now, when I'm on a live stream, if I'm not releasing a product for a company or something like that, then, to me, it's fair game. But, if I'm on a stream and that stream's supposed to be about, well, let's just say Beard Mana, I wouldn't want to wear a Chesapeake hat, while I was doing that.
That's respect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. I wouldn't want.
We need to get more hats.
Want somebody to wear a socially bearded hat while they were shooting a video on their channel. That's why you see me wear. That's why you see me wear these Twitch hats a lot, because Twitch is more. He's more about mental health and stuff like that. So, I don't find anything. I don't find anything wrong with that. Even if I'm talking about a company, with a Twitch hat on. I mean, I think that's totally appropriate.
Yeah, and George is such a great dude anyway.
Right.
Yep.
Somebody gonna hate on you for wearing one of George's hats? Nah.
I don't, man. I've
swag.
never.
Just putting that out there, or swag.
Yeah,
Swag.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I've always wanted one of them hats. I'm gonna have to end up finding one. I went to order one time, and he had just sold the last one. So I'm gonna probably revisit that. Well, guys, if nobody else has anything that they want to share, we will start wrapping it up.
I want to mention something real quick.
Go, absolutely, man. Take all the time you need.
Saturday hype. Motivation.
Yep.
Be there.
45 minutes.
Appreciate that.
Wait, is it 45 minutes or an hour? No, it's 45
9
minutes.
p.m.
45
yeah.
minutes.
8 Central. Yeah.
Yep, 45 minutes. Well, all right, fellas. Everybody in the chat, I absolutely appreciate all you guys for being here. I appreciate all the kind words. I can't tell you guys, how much it means to me, all the support. Guys on screen, same. There's no way I could have got on here by myself and did, I hope nobody takes this personally, but Sober Chef was, me and him's been discussing this for a long time. He was my first call, I guess you could say, when I decided that I wanted to, go on and do this. There's been super short conversations, about my sobriety. Somebody else start talking about it, and maybe they asked the question, who else out there is has been through this, and I would mention it or something like that, but I never really took it any further than that. And when me and Ryan started the live stream, I said, you know what? I said, I wonder if it'd be a good idea, if we done this. And excuse me, he said, yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea. So, like I said, Sober Chef was my first call. And my
And I
headphones.
feel honored.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they start working again.
Huh.
Doesn't your microphone work?
Well, oh yeah, the mic does. No, my headphones went dead, or it said they went dead. It disconnected them, and then they connected right back, I guess, for some reason.
Okay, Jay Cruz, we get it. Your headphones won't disconnect. Jay does that to me he'll call me on a freaking video call, and he'll be like, hold on a second. He'll put them back in, and then he'll take them back out. I'm like, Jay, why don't you just use the phone, bro? Like,
Yeah. He does the same thing to me. I'm like, dude, I can't hear you.
right. You hear my compressor?
It's an
Sorry about
air
that.
compressor
Oh,
kicked
you're
on somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot to turn it off.
Somebody's
turn it
getting ready to get a tattoo.
Right.
Or a
All
haircut.
right.
Yeah.
Or a haircut. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So we're gonna kill it right here. Again, I appreciate everybody, guys on screen, guys in the chat.
Yeah,
If there's
thanks for
anybody
having
in
me,
the
Thanks
chat,
for having me on with you, Mick.
And
Appreciate all you guys.
absolutely.
And
And
Mr.
Mrs.
guys in the chat.
I think she's at bingo. I think she might be indisposed by now.
Don't say bingo. You're going to get her in trouble.
All right, guys.
B35, B35.
All right, fellas, we're gonna kill
Bingo.
it right here. We will see y'all next week.